The year was 2022. The Football World Cup was happening in Qatar. And suddenly one day, Saudi Arabia shook the entire world. Because Saudi had defeated Argentina in the Football World Cup. Meaning, Messi's team, Messi, who is considered the god of football, lost to Saudi. Usually, to celebrate a country's major sports victory, they hold a victory parade. But Saudi Arabia is something else entirely. Saudi's crown prince, Mohammed Bin Salman, did something that made headlines. Every Saudi player received a brand new Rolls-Royce. The price of each car was 4.5 crores. And all this, not to win the World Cup, but just to defeat one big team in one match in the World Cup. For winning just one match, 26 players received a Rolls-Royce worth 4.5 crores. First, the media told the whole world this, and then suspiciously, this news disappeared from all media. But one piece of news is true. The world's football legend, Cristiano Ronaldo, plays in Saudi and takes home $200 million every year to represent Al Nassr. Today, there's probably only one person in the world who can buy 26 Rolls-Royces just because he felt like it, and just as quickly, can also erase the news about it from the entire internet, who can convince the world's best players to leave Europe and live in a barren desert. And that person is Mohammed Bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia and the richest man in the world. Today, all reports say that Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. But there's that saying, isn't there? True power lies not in the spotlight, but in the shadow. Today's video is the story of this person who doesn't just have money, but has power. The power to control people. The power to control oil and politics as well. This is the story of Saudi Arabia, which wants to make the Middle East the Europe of tomorrow. This is our new series, Leaders of the World, where we will learn from the stories of the world's best leaders. MBS is leading Saudi Arabia on the path of development because he understands that language should not be a barrier but a bridge, allowing foreigners to learn about Saudi Arabia's culture and for Saudi to stay connected with the world. Chapter 1. The Birth of Saudi. In the middle of the desert, there is a country that was impossible to create, that shouldn't even exist. But it not only exists, it also rules the world. Here, there are no big rivers, no land for farming, and no democracy. Yet, Saudi Arabia is considered one of the most powerful countries in the world. Because what holds Saudi together as a country is a promise. The promise of economic growth in exchange for loyalty. I will explain. 100 to 150 years ago, Saudi Arabia did not exist as a country. There used to be different tribes, and the credit for uniting them into one country goes to Ibn Saud. Through his diplomacy, he brought all the tribes together, won the support of the clerics, and also defeated his rivals with his military strength. In 1927, he signed a treaty with Britain called the Treaty of Jeddah. This treaty made him the ruler of Saudi. Ibn Saud certainly created the country, but how to sustain a desert? It was 1932 when something happened in the Arab world that was like hitting the lottery. Oil was discovered in Bahrain. Ibn Saud thought that if there could be oil in Bahrain, then why not in Saudi? And he was right. In March 1938, Saudi found oil at Dammam No. 7. This was the beginning of a modern-day empire. Today, Saudi Arabia has the world's second-largest oil reserves. 90% of their exports are oil. 80% of their annual budget comes from oil revenue, and 40% of the GDP is just oil. Some great person has rightly said, "What's money?
It's just dust on your feet, and Saudi is full of dust. Because of so much oil revenue, a social contract was established between the ruler and the people, that the people will give their loyalty to Ibn Saud's family, and in return, the royal family will ensure Saudi's economic growth, political support from the people, financial support from the ruler. Because of this, there is no income tax in Saudi. On the contrary, the government ensures that every Arab gets a government job, because the entire Saudi empire is like a house of cards that no one wants to let fall. It's crucial to understand this context. Mohammed bin Salman, he is the grandson of Ibn Saud and is also the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia. If you look at it, his personal wealth is only $25 billion, much less than Elon Musk's $500 billion. But he is also the leader of the House of Saud, which, according to estimates, has a total net worth of $1.4 trillion, almost 3 times that of Elon Musk. Plus, Mohammed bin Salman, he is not a businessman. He is a king. And it's not important how much property a king has in his name. What's important is the value of the land he rules over. So, when a king wins the trust of his people, and money starts flowing like rivers of oil, what does a modern-day empire look like? Let's find out. Chapter 2. How rich is Saudi Arabia? In the middle of the desert, on the shores of the Red Sea, a new age story is being written. Saudi Arabia's dream. NEOM. This is a $500 billion project that aims to build a modern civilization in the middle of the desert. And the highlight of this project is the line. A 170-kilometer long stretch with mirrors on both sides, which will make the city invisible when viewed from a distance. Also, this entire city will be powered by 100% renewable energy. Here, there will only be autonomous electric vehicles, resorts, and technology. Everything you see in science fiction. NEOM is going to make it a reality. The line is NEOM's flagship project, but not the only project. The NEOM project also has luxury resorts like Sandala, a luxury resort island, Trohana, a luxury mountain resort complex, and Magna, which will integrate luxury coastal living and wildlife. And not just that, NEOM is also imagining an industrial cluster called Oxagon, where global factories will be built using robotics, AI, and the Internet of Things, located right on global shipping routes so they can expand quickly. This project is MBS's brainchild, and obviously, how can someone whose net worth is around $25 billion fund a $500 billion project? The answer is simple. He has more money than you can imagine. This is just a glimpse because a single family controls all of Saudi's natural resources. Do you know how much total oil is in Saudi Arabia? Let's take a look. Saudi Arabia has 270 billion barrels of oil. This means 16% of the world's oil is in just one country, and that is Saudi Arabia. Galwari is one of those oil fields, producing 9 million barrels daily. Their national oil company is Saudi Aramco, which is 97% state-owned, meaning MBS. The remaining 3% of shares are owned by outsiders. Saudi Aramco is the world's 8th largest publicly traded company. In 2022, Saudi Aramco's profits were the highest in the world. As big as the numbers are, Saudi's ambitions are even bigger. But the most interesting thing about Saudi is that it doesn't just make money from Aramco, it also strategically invests the money earned by Aramco into the Public Investment Fund, or PIF, Saudi's sovereign wealth fund, through which MBS invests a lot of money in companies like Meta, Shopify, PayPal, and Alibaba. In 2016, the PIF invested $3.5 billion in Uber. Saudi even invests in big gaming companies like Electronic Arts and Take-Two Interactive. So, do you know how much this PIF's assets were worth by end 2024? 4.32 trillion Saudi Arabian riyals, or $1.15 trillion. More than our annual budget. Think about it this way. Aramco prints money, PF invests it, and MBS controls both. So for them, buying a few Rolls Royces to give to their footballers is not a big deal. Saudi Arabia wants the whole world to look at it, but not just for oil, but for innovation, speed, and ambition. A nation that wants to see itself on the global map to become a futuristic powerhouse. This desire's prime example is the Jeddah Grand Prix, held on the glittering shores of the Red Sea. A spectacular race where the world's fastest cars race at high speed in the dead of night. Their voices echo in the desert winds. The cost to build this F1 track was $500 million. In just 5 years, this track has become the second longest and one of the most challenging circuits in Formula One. This event, which started with a bold vision, has now taken Saudi Arabia's global image to a new level, a living testament to speed, ambition, and the fast pace of the future. Saudi's oil, Saudi's geography, is an advantage for Saudi, but every advantage comes with a challenge. Remember in the first chapter I said that Saudi has survived as a country because the government financially supports its people. And MBS's job is to uphold this promise. But there's just one problem. Saudi does have oil, but not unlimited oil. Meaning, the oil will run out someday. And on that day, the Kingdom of Saudi could collapse. How will MBS overcome this challenge? Chapter 3. The Curse of Too Much Oil. Saudi exists because of a promise, but as time passes, cracks are beginning to appear in this promise. When your entire economy is linked to oil, then as oil prices go up, your economy will also go up. And if oil prices fall, then your economy will also slow down. It is that simple, but in recent times, oil prices have been seen to fluctuate a lot. Look at this graph. Oil prices peaked at $133 in June 2008, dropping to $16 by April 2020. With this much fluctuation, how can Saudi's economy survive? Oil isn't unlimited, and without oil, there is no Saudi. So what does MBS want to do? There are two big plans. 1. Slow down oil production, and 2. Create alternate revenue sources. First, let's see why slowing oil production helps Saudi. In the last chapter, we learned Saudi has the world's second largest oil reserve, but that's not all. Saudi has a lot of oil, and at the same time, the cost of extracting oil in Saudi is very low compared to other countries. Do you know how much? The cost of extracting 1 barrel of oil in Saudi is only $5 to $10, and today's market price for that same barrel is $64 per barrel. Canada's extraction cost is $54, compared to $33 in the USA. Saudi has made its oil wells so efficient that they can slow down the operations of their oil wells at any time and also speed them up at any time. MBS is smart. He knows the game of supply and demand. Global demand is steadily rising, so if supply is reduced, prices will rise and profits will be higher. At the end of 2022, under the leadership of MBS, the oil-producing nations, that is, OPEC+, made a plan to raise oil prices to $100 per barrel. But their plan failed because non-OPEC+ countries like America, Canada, Brazil, and Norway increased oil production. America does not want oil prices to reach $100 per barrel. So MBS set aside his $100 per barrel plan and chose a reasonable target of $90 per barrel. But this plan is also failing. Right now, oil is at $64 a barrel. MBS first thought slowing the oil supply would lead to more profit, but that didn't happen. On the contrary, oil prices are decreasing so naturally. If Saudi wants to survive in the 21st century, it will need another plan. Enter Vision 2030. It is a blueprint through which Saudi Arabia can break free from its oil addiction. MBS knows that if Saudi remains solely dependent on oil, then one day this empire could collapse. So what is the plan? There are 3 big goals. 1. Diversify income. 2. Attract foreign investment. And 3. Create jobs for the youth. Today, 66% of Saudi's population is under 35, These people are getting educated, dreaming, and expecting jobs from the government. But the income from oil is decreasing every year and jobs aren't keeping up. So MBS decided, let's just build a brand new economy. It starts with Neom, which we have mentioned in Chapter 2. But Neom is not just a city. It is a symbol of a vision, a futuristic model where AI, robotics, green energy, and tourism will coexist. And not just Neom, under Vision 2030, Saudi also has to become a tourist hub, a country where previously only religious tourists were allowed. Now concerts are being held there. Hollywood stars are coming, and visa rules have also been relaxed. Women are getting the right to drive. Where cinemas were once banned, movie theaters are opening. Now there are music festivals, boxing matches, Formula 1 races, and even WWE has arrived. All of this is happening in Saudi. And all of this is quite deliberate because MBS wants the world to look at Saudi not just as the oil capital, but as the future entertainment capital. Basically, MBS wants to copy the UAE's model. But where will the money come from to do all these things? The answer is PIF, which we have mentioned before, the Public Investment Fund. This fund is investing in the world's top companies and funding Saudi's new dreams with the returns. MBS wants PIF's assets to double by 2030 and for 50% of Saudi's GDP to come from non-oil sources. Today, it's only 10%. Vision 2030 is not about buildings. It's about building relevance.
Saudi Arabia in the next 5 years will be completely different. This is the Saudis' war. This is my war that I am fighting personally. I do not want to leave this life without seeing the Middle East at the forefront of the world. And I believe this goal will be achieved 100%.
May you live a long life, sir. Chapter 4. The Boldest Nation. Saudi Arabia is a strange contradiction. Home to ultra-modern skyscrapers and the holy Islamic cities of Mecca and Medina. On one hand, Formula 1 races, and on the other, Sharia law. But this contradiction is not their weakness. It is their strength. Because Saudi is perhaps the only country in the world that is embracing modernity without compromising its cultural identity. Not only that, Saudi's strategy is genius. It is never the first, but whenever it does something, it does it the biggest. Bahrain discovered oil first. But who became the king of oil? Saudi. The UAE started tourism and diversification first. And now Saudi is following the same model. But the difference is that Saudi is not the first, but it is guaranteed to become the best. Neom is the biggest example of this. It's not that Saudi is just showing futuristic dreams, it is actually investing, and that too aggressively. A $500 billion giga project just so the world remembers Saudi, not just for oil, but also for innovation. MBS knows that today's youth watches Netflix and lives on TikTok. They want new rules. So Saudi is now making new rules. It is investing in gaming, investing in startups, investing in media, inviting influencers to see Saudi. Women are getting rights. Concerts are happening. Cinemas are returning. Visa rules are being simplified. Where the ruler is saying, I will give you new opportunities. You give me stability. You give me your loyalty. And if this works, not only will Saudi be transformed, but MBS will be counted as one of the most powerful people in the world. Today, Elon Musk is considered the richest person in the world, but MBS has Aramco, the PIF, and an entire country, an entire army. And if all this is executed in Vision 2030, then MBS will be more powerful than any billionaire, not just with money, but also with power. But every story has an if. Neom was supposed to be the crown jewel of Saudi Arabia, but the real truth seems to be lost somewhere between ambition and reality. All of Neom's projects seem very futuristic, but many estimates say that its total cost is 25 times more than Saudi Arabia's budget. Today, Saudi and MBS are bearing this expense, but completing this project without foreign capital is going to be very difficult. Neom's The Line is not the only project stuck in such issues. Trohana, their ski resort area, has also been stuck somewhere since 2023. The resort projects on Sandala, the luxury island, are also unfinished. Without luxury hotels, guests are not coming, and the question of Saudi's economic diversification is stuck right there. So the empire built on oil until now could also collapse, and this could be the biggest shock for the world. So the question is, in this new world order of the 21st century, is the world ready for Saudi's transformation? Or is a new chapter about to be written? Chapter 5. The End of Oil. Saudi Arabia has spent an entire century on the strength of oil. It has ruled the entire world's economy on the strength of oil. What will happen when the oil runs out? What will happen when the whole world finds a better energy source than oil? Will Saudi lose all its wealth again? Will Saudi become irrelevant? This is the biggest question before MBS.